I'd like to take just a couple of minutes and try to, once again, talk some common sense about Congress and our spending habits and about this very modest baby step that we must take if we are ever going to do the right thing when it comes to spending in the United States government. What is this amendment about? Well, at its heart, this amendment is about trying to regain the trust of the American people. We have had to do big, bold things because of an economic crisis. No question that this president inherited a mess and that we had to do some big, bold things to try to get out of the ditch in this economy. I understand many economists would argue it's not the time to cut spending, but isn't it time we cap growth? I mean, think about it for a minute. Everywhere in America, whether it is at a family's kitchen table, or whether it's at a school board meeting, or whether it's at a city council meeting, or a county legislative body meeting, or a state government, a state legislative budget hearing, everywhere in America, they are having to trim their sails, cut their budgets, try to find a meaningful way to do more with less. And what are we doing here? We can't agree to cap growth? Are you kidding me? We can't even say to the American people, we're not going to grow by as much over the next 3 years? This doesn't even try to cut spending. It tries to cap growth. And there are actually people in this body that think we can't take this small, modest step to say we're not going to grow as quickly or by as much over the next several years. How on earth can we do hard stuff? How on earth can we live up to our responsibility as members of the United States Senate when it comes to fiscal policy? How can we ever in the future do what we're going to have to do to rein in this government if we can't even cap spending at a time when everybody in America is cutting? Reining in growth should not be a hard vote. It should not be a hard vote. Anybody knows we can't sustain the course we're on. But what really is frustrating to me that some of the people that are so anxious to defeat this amendment are using such old-fashioned scare tactics that it's almost insulting. There are talking points that are being circulated against this amendment that I think you ought to blush if you're responsible for them. The notion that we're going to make these cuts in our most important programs. I mean, there's a talking point going around that this would make us have to cut Border Patrol. Come on. That we're going to have to cut the priorities of this government. No, we're not. Would we maybe have to cut back on some of the earmarking? Yeah, probably. I hope that everyone who has voted against this amendment in the past really does a gut check this time and thinks of themselves in front of a bunch of people they work for in their home state, explaining to them why you cannot vote to curb growth in the federal government's budget. I'm telling you what, that's one explanation I wouldn't have to want to give right now at home. I wouldn't have to want to tell the people in Missouri that it was impossible for us to even put a lid on the growth of the federal government. Right now, at this time, in this nation's history, with all the economic issues that are swirling around, I think it would have a positive impact on our economy to send this signal. I think it would have a positive effect on our markets. I think it would have a positive global effect as we look at what's going on in Europe. But the federal government is finally acknowledging that we've got to begin to curb the growth of our expenditures. Madam President, these votes have been close. We got 56 the first time, 59. And then everybody got really nervous because we got 59 votes. And then the next time we got 57. 3 more votes, Madam President, 3 more votes, and we will send the right signal to the American people that we get it. And I hope that today is the day we send the signal to the American people that we know there are hard decisions ahead, and we are beginning to take some modest steps to show that we have the guts and the fortitude to make those decisions.